Derek, I want to talk to you a little bit before we get into the game. There are many hats you have to wear as a football manager, particularly in your case, and I mean this as respectfully as possible, a more old-fashioned manager who manages lots of elements rather than a head coach.
Yeah.
I'm interested in psychology. I'm interested in that mental side of it and how you deal with having 20-something individuals who also happen to be footballers. How difficult is it with the season that you've had so far, the results you've got and not been getting? How difficult is that psychology? Because I would imagine in my workplace, in my family, etc., every individual would deal with that differently.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, as you say, football players are all different. It's no different from going into a workplace where the characters, the work colleagues, have all got different personalities, and it's the same with a football player. The one thing with football players is they've got quite a rigid platform to play from. They come in at the same time every day. They work in a similar way all the time. And then come a Saturday, that event on a Saturday changes how your mood is on a Saturday night, a Sunday, and then into Monday next week. Whereas other occupations, I would say most occupations, they go in, they do their work, they walk out the door, they close the door, and they're able to shut that off. It's not able to do that in football because you've got social media, you've got the press, you've got the radio, and that is something that you can't get away from. But as football players, as a manager, it's how you deal with these individuals, because they're not all the same. They are different, and you've got to understand different things might be happening in their lives as well, and that becomes, difficult to manage at times, but you've got to understand how to do it.
Just to give you a hypothetical, you talk about all those different outside factors, the press, social media, fans. I think it's impossible, isn't it, to avoid where you are in the league, and here you're bottom of the league. Would it be fair to say that player X might say, that's a motivation to me, I want to prove those people wrong, but player Y might be down about that and might have their morale affected by it? Is it that simple?
Well, I tend not to. In the past, I would look at media, I would, listen to what's going on, but I think that when you become more experienced and you understand how you want to work, then you have to shut out everything that's round about you. You can, yes, take it on and listen to things, but you've got to listen to people within, watch training, watch how people train. And we're in a position at this moment in time because we haven't got the results. Our performances have been very good a lot of the time. We've been unable to finish off the chances that we've created, and that's been the problem, that we are where we are, because we could easily be 4 or 5 positions higher up in the league at this moment in time because of the performances that we've had. But as I was saying earlier today, and I did listen to media in the car on the way down, and it's about results. Performances, yes, they were talking about a team last night playing, and there was a bad performance, but they got the result, and that's what we have to look for at this moment in time.
Do you actively encourage your players to not engage with stuff, to not look at the table, to not look at social media, or is it beyond your control?
Yeah, it's beyond my control. I would never do that. Everyone's open to their own ideas and the way that they lead their life. I think nowadays it's so different with so many platforms that they can get involved in, and it's probably difficult for someone to get away from that. But I think that when you're in my position, it is important to get away from it, because you have to deal with what you can deal with, and that's seeing how the players train and play on a match day.
In a strange way, would you welcome a bad performance and 3 points?
Yes, I would. 100%. I've seen a lot of very, very good performances this season, and we haven't been able to get the result that we deserve. And I would, because that's the nature of the business, and it shouldn't be. Performances, should be the one that you're looking at. But at the end of the day, it's what everyone looks at night time when they flick through the pages is the result. They don't see anything else. I remember an old manager in Scotland saying, it doesn't matter what I see in the game. It's a matter what I say after the game. There might only be 1,000 people at the game, but I'm speaking to thousands, maybe millions of people through the media, and it's important what I say, and see after the game.
How important to you, Derek, then, is this kind of conversation? Because we're sitting in a room, there's only me and you, but you are talking to Morecambe supporters, you're talking to football fans, you're talking to people who see and hear this. How big a platform is that to you to make sure that you're telling people what you're seeing and what you think?
Yeah, I mean, it can be, because as a manager, we can't say everything that we want to say. We can't, divulge all the things that, we want to. That's just the nature of the business. There's many things that the supporters will have seen, us playing in games and think, how did they not come away with a positive result there? There is other times that they say that, listen, we haven't done so well, and that's what sometimes has happened.
To go back to the psychology and the man management thing, is that why it's quite a conscious choice if a player makes a mistake? Sometimes you'll be backing them, and sometimes you'll sort of not draw attention to it, and sometimes, I think we heard this with Stuart Moore, who's just been in with us earlier in the season, where you did highlight it.
Yeah.
Is that about the character?
Yeah, I mean, you have to, at times, because at times you don't want to highlight things when errors are made, because it can affect the performance of the person and the player. Other times we have to highlight it because maybe they don't understand that it was their fault, and that then makes their game become better, because then they realise, it's out there. It's taken ownership of the problem, and I think that's why we've got so many good characters in the dressing room.
We've almost lost all the leaves from the trees looking out the window, which means we're heading towards that sort of Christmas period where the games seem to come even more regularly than they have done already. I know you won't be dwelling on the league table, but how important is it, even at this early stage, to be in touch with that bunch of teams? And there's loads of them in sort of early to mid double figures of points.
Yeah, it's very important. It's important that we are in catching distance with them. If we can get a number of wins together, then can we go over the top of them? And that's what we're looking for at this moment in time. And I've always said, there's a number of clubs that thought they were, or think they are safe at this moment in time. But we all know, as the season goes on, teams get caught.
Do you have to put them in the mindset of looking over their shoulders at you rather than looking up the table?
Yeah, I mean, we certainly do that. I have to do that. And that becomes when we win a game and the other team go into the dressing room and they think, Morecambe have won today. And then they go into the dressing room and oh no, Morecambe have won again today. And then they've won again. And that's a problem for other teams. But we've got to get to that stage, and we need to get that winning run together.
Are Harrogate this weekend an example of that kind of team? They're a decent portion of points in front of you, but a couple of weeks of those results going that way means they could be very much within touching distance.
Yeah, there's a number of clubs like that, and Harrogate will be speaking in a different way, which is understandable. But there are a number of teams that are within catching distance at this moment in time.
You've spoken, when I've been here myself, when I've heard your interviews, a lot about converting chances and making the most of opportunities. Scott Parker I've been speaking to quite a lot at Burnley, and he's been stressing there's not a magic wand. You can't suddenly start winning 6-0. It takes time, it takes work on the training ground. Is that difficult? Is that frustrating when you feel you're capable of doing it and maybe don't see it on a Saturday afternoon?
No, because I have seen it on a Saturday afternoon. It's the chances that we are not converting. We have really good, our XG is in a decent position for us. Our final third entry is in a decent position for us. So our big opportunities in games are in a decent position. So when we look at the facts and we look at should we have scored, yes, we should have. It has improved as the season has gone on so far. But unfortunately, it might have been good goalkeeping, it might be bad finishing that has affected us at this moment in time. Yeah,
it's a rabbit hole, XG. I just want, as I understand it, they put a value of the quality of a chance, and that's how it's worked out. Does that factor in enough, do you think, the quality of the goalkeeper that you're facing, the pedigree of the player that's got the opportunity? If it falls to your centre-half, it's probably less of a chance than if it falls to your centre forward. Is that fair?
That is fair in a way, but it's how big that opportunity is. Have you been able to get into a position in the area of the pitch to have a big opportunity in the game? And we certainly have, and it comes by scoring goals as well. We should have scored more goals than we'll have done according to our XG, so that means that we have been creating the chances. You'll see a number of teams that are well below us at this moment in time, but are in a higher position, so their goals to conversion rate is higher.
Harrogate then, what kind of characterises them as a team? What have you got to prepare for that might be different to what you faced in the FA Cup last week or against Chesterfield or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, they're a team that play with high energy. They always have been. They're a team that likes to run forward and create, openings, play in a different style to they did at the start of the season because they've moved about formations a bit, but they're getting back to what they were, probably a couple of seasons ago.
Just on the Harrogate story, the fact that it's a sort of father and son business and Simon Weaver has been in charge for so very long. Firstly, I want to ask you about longevity and sort of lifespan in football management. To be in charge as long as he's been, it's absolutely unprecedented, isn't it? I suppose, does it show that if you put faith in someone, they will deliver results or can deliver results?
It's difficult because football clubs are run in different ways, and nowadays you'll have a board of directors. Sometimes you have a supporting director, you have a CEO, you have a head of recruitment, and they might go and get the players for you. But at this level, it is different, and I think that the longevity of being a manager is by getting results, and that's what keeps you long enough in the game.
And obviously, I mentioned the father-son combination of owner and chairman and manager. You've worked with your dad. What's that like?
Yeah, it can be very difficult at times. It can be really enjoyable at times as well, because you are so close. You will have arguments about different things because you want the same goal at the end of the day. And I'm sure Simon and his father have had that at stages because it becomes difficult. And you have opinions, a different opinion from each other. And, sometimes it can be really successful. And it has been, for them.
And I know you've said to us in the past that you look at young players, and if they've had a parent or a relative or somebody who's been involved in the game, you find that they are better acclimatised and sort of take to it better. Is it something that can be in you, that can be sort of bred into you from being a kid?
There is no doubt about it. It's 100% correct, because you are brought up, you know how it is to deal with a loss, you know how it is to deal with a win because you've seen your parent deal with it in a different way. You've seen how hard they have to work to play football, and that's why I've been signed a lot of players that have had their fathers be football players because they understand what football is about. People from different livelihoods, different backgrounds, their upbringing is different, and that then has to be inbred in them as they come into the football club.
And just on your personnel situation, just looking at the lineups and the benches for the last couple of games, it feels like it's a little bit more encouraging. Does that trend continue?
Yeah, we've got only one player out now, Leanne Gall. He's the only one that is out. We've obviously had George Ray coming back into training. He hasn't played any games yet, but is progressing. But everyone else is good to go.
And those who were on the bench on the artificial pitch the other week, maybe that was a consideration. Are they all in a position to start? I'm thinking particularly Grian Edwards, who the fans will be looking forward to see.
Yeah, they're all in a position now to start, and I think that George is probably the only one at this moment in time that's in the fit players that needs some game time because he didn't play any games since the first game of the season.